Hello everybody, Chris Samartich, Brotherhood of Light Show, current YouTube channel. And this week we're going to continue with our psychedelic music show. And this week we've got a special show on the Brotherhood of Light, which a lot of people may know, but some don't. So this week we're going to cover the 55-year career of the Brotherhood of Light. So let's check it out. So here's our opening slide, Brotherhood of Light Show, 55-year history. And some of the bands we worked with over the 55 years, the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers Band, Gov't Mule, Gregg Allman, and the Doors of the 21st Century. We're going to mention some other bands also, but we're going to cover those in this show. So that's a liquid light show backdrop, is the classic oil light show that Brotherhood of Light does for these groups, usually behind the band. So we're going to do a little bit of deep dig history on it to the first generation of light shows and the Brotherhood of Light. So here we go. So this is an example of the original light show companies which were around in 1966 and 1967. And this one on the left is the Doors at the Avalon Ballroom in San Francisco. It was a classic venue. And the one on the right is the Cream at the Fillmore Auditorium on Fillmore Street, Fillmore and Geary. And so there was like sort of four original light show companies. Bill Ham, the name was one of the guys that did it. Glenn McKay and Jerry Abrams had a light show called Headlights, which they eventually split into two light shows. And there was another light show we're going to mention on the next slide. So that's kind of like the first generation of light shows. Okay, the other company was the North American Ibis Alchemy Company Light Show. San Francisco, 1967. And this picture on the left here is them at the Avalon Ballroom, and Mark Maximin, who branched off and went to the Brotherhood of Light because the Ibis company finally shut down in 67 and sold all the slide projectors and stuff like that to the Brotherhood. Now, the shot on the left bottom here is Tim Pace from Light Show Planet Earth, and he's in this picture, one of those guys. Early shot taken in the D.C. area, and you can see they're in a theater and they're doing a mass projection. And then the one on the right, which is also, I believe, that's the North American Ibis rig with the pipes there on the right, and they're doing a light show at the Fillmore Auditorium, the original Fillmore on Fillmore and Geary. And then the Straight Theater up here is where it says dance class, is where is on Haight Street. It's a theater that was converted into a dance hall. So these guys, Bill Ham and Ben Van Meter, who was in Ibis, ended up leaving the business after 2 years approximately, and not performing these big venues. So companies like the Brotherhood and Holy See and the Headlights and stuff kind of took over the marketplace. And when Bill Graham in 68 moved to the Fillmore West, which was on it was on Market Street in Van Ness, it was a bigger venue. He ended up using the light show as on the posters, which you'll see. So Marcus Maximan ended up joining the Brotherhood of Light. So here we have the Brotherhood of Light in 1967, and we've got Brian Epps and Robert Pullum, who were from Stockton and had a light show. And I don't know if they call it the Brotherhood of Light, but according to Robert, they formed it when Mark joined them, and he had all the connections because he was with Ibis before, and he was a liquid guy, and he ended up getting them gigs at the Straight Theater and Bill Graham, and the picture of Brian Epps here, you can see the Brotherhood machines in the background, and you can see the paper towels on top of the projector rack there, and you can see that he's got covers over the Brotherhood machines because they had these big glass lenses, and if the sun went down inside them, they'd actually magnify and start a fire, so you had to cover them up if you had them outdoors or near a window or anything like that. Then I believe in 1968, Brother Ed Langdon joined him, and Marcus got tossed out of the Brotherhood sometime 68, 69, I don't know when, but he had got into some serious debt with drugs and stuff like that, so they had to cut him loose from the company. So basically the Brotherhood continued with these three guys, Brian, Ed, and Robert Pullum. Now this is shows not about rock stars, but these guys are rock stars in the light show world. So anyway, I just want to let the audience know that. So we're going to continue and give a list of where the Brotherhood performed or who they performed with. So here is a bunch of posters from Brotherhood of Light, all Bill Graham venues, but they also did shows at Avalon Ballroom, Chet Helms. But the New Year's Eve at Winterland with the Grateful Dead and Quicksilver, and It's a Beautiful Day, and Santana, which is a pretty amazing show. So they by 60, the end of 68, they were headlining at Winterland Auditorium. Then we had the Jeff Beck group with Spirit, Country Joe with Led Zeppelin. They did shows with Led Zeppelin, and these are some Country Joe and the Fish with Terry Reid and C Train. And then we have Pink Floyd. They did shows at the Fillmore West with Pink Floyd, and at the Pepperland in San Rafael. There's a poster from Pepperland, which is really cool. Perfect match for the psychedelic Brotherhood of Light to do a light show with Pink Floyd. It's probably really great. I'm going to read off some of the classic bands they worked with. Chicago Transit Authority, The Who, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Frank Zappa, Grateful Dead, Jethro Tull, Led Zeppelin, Traffic, Sly and the Family Stone, Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd, Santana. Also, all the local San Francisco bands, Steve Miller, Boss Skaggs, Van Morrison, Albert King, the list goes on and on. They just did, they were every third week they did shows at the Fillmore West or Winterland. And it was a lot of work, man, but we're going to get the next slide. So here we go. There's the Led Zeppelin when they were headlining at Winterland Auditorium, and there's a picture of Zeppelin playing at Winterland with the Brotherhood of Light Show in the black and white sequence there. And there's another shot from Winterland of it's the Youngbloods in the center bottom, and that, I believe, when I looked it up, was Jerry Abrams' headlights. And the shot on the right-hand bottom is just below where I am, is Jefferson Airplane at the Avalon, and I believe that's Glenn McKay, because he was their light show guy, and he toured with them. So there's three examples of light shows happening in San Francisco, and so the Brotherhood, the first generation of Brotherhood was from 1967 to 1971. And what basically happened after this was that Ed and Brian went to Mexico on a vacation, and Fillmore West closed, and they weren't doing too many shows at Winterland with light shows at that point, in 71 and 72. And they ended up doing... and Bob ended up going to Pepperland and working there for a year doing the lights and light shows, and that was in San Rafael, California, and the Grateful Dead and Pink Floyd and Van Morrison and a bunch of bands, Taj Mahal and Leon Russell played over there, but they ended up closing after a year. It was kind of like a mafia gangster place, supposedly, according to Bob. And they just shut down and didn't pay everybody for the last week or something like that. But anyway, so that sort of ended up, so then Bob ended up quitting the light show business, but taking his equipment, and they all split the gear. Brian went up to Harbin Hot Springs and I think was in the cultivating business, and Ed continued on with the light show for the next 16 years. So let's check that out. So Ed Langdon here on the left, you can see the picture, you can see his business card, and Lady Trash and Lou were the three members of the Brotherhood at that point, and they continued through the late 70s and 80s doing light shows, and they would do stuff like the Hell's Angel parties, the Exotic Erotic Ball, the Hookers Ball, any kind of really far out event. Halloween was always a big time for them. And then Pete Rabinowitz, who's the middle guy on the there's a light show crew up there. The Exotic Erotic Ball, where the poster is right above it on the right. You can see Ed sitting down. You can see Pete standing up doing liquids, and with the Brotherhood machines, those same machines that you saw with Brian had. And they ended up doing the Exotic Erotic Ball in '87, and they did the Strawberry Alarm Clock and Blue Cheer at the Kennel Club. I remember Pete was telling me about those gigs. They also did shows at the infamous Mabuhay Gardens, which was the punk club in the late 70s and early 80s, and then it turned into more of a rock, kind of alternative rock club. And they were doing light shows there. So Ed kept it going, and so Pete and I ended up buying the light show from Ed in 1988. So let's check it out. So around 1988, I hooked up with Pete through Rock Scully, and he was doing Tuesday night at the I-Beam. It was called Acid House, which was basically the original rave, and so they wanted a psychedelic light show. So the old Brotherhood came in. We brought the machines in, and Lou was there. Lady Trash had left at that point. She had moved on to do practical lighting in Texas, and so I came in and I knew how to do like the slide projectors and color wheels, and I brought a bunch of equipment in and made a bunch of stuff and started jamming with Pete. And Pete and I ended up partnering up and buying the Brotherhood of Light from Ed. And there I am at Red Rocks with the Brotherhood of Light machines. And you can see the paper towel, just like Brian Epps had it. There, Pete had it up on the rack on the Brotherhood machines. There they are with that 1-inch pipe. And we're covering up because we're outside once again. And if the light comes in, the sunlight comes in, it'll fry the machine. It'll start a fire because those convex lenses, they're 9-inch lenses. And then the Allman Brothers. Then we did the Jefferson Airplane at the Fillmore Auditorium, the old Fillmore. It just been reopened, and we did it with the Jefferson Airplane 3 nights with Bill Graham. And Ed came and hung out at one of those shows and did liquids for White Rabbit. But that was probably the last show Ed ever did, I think. This was in '89. We had taken over the company at this point, and the Allman Brothers up here on the right were that's a shot from the Fillmore East. Wanted the Fillmore East style light show, so they hired the Brotherhood of Light. We went on tour with them. We toured in that Lincoln Continental, you can see there, and we did 14,000 miles, and we did 50 shows in two and a half months. Traveled all over the United States. And we earned our wings, and so you can see on the left here, there's a picture of the Brotherhood of Light with the Allman Brothers, similar to the Fillmore look. And we ended up getting hired by them permanently, and they put us on the bus, and they hauled our equipment, and we started revamping our gear. And we used Nocturne to help us with that. And so let's get on to the next slide. So this is around 1991. There's myself, Chris, and there's Pete, and we're young men at that point out there, and there we're doing liquids down there. In Japan, they took us to Japan twice, and you can see here's a laminate with the Shades of Two Worlds tour and the Brotherhood of Light name on it. And there's a Liquid Light Show up there in the right-hand corner. So, everything went great. We were touring like crazy with the Allman Brothers, and we were going around the world, and it was unbelievable. So here's the album cover we did with Allman Brothers in 91, Shades of Two Worlds, and there's the back cover of Second Set. We can see the liquid lights behind the set list. And we also did live at Great Woods. At this point, it was a VHS tape. Now it's on DVD. And there we are with the Allman Brothers at the Bullet Train in Japan at the group shot of everybody on one of our Japanese tours. And I'm in there next to Greg, and Pete's way over here on the left. And there's Dickie Betts and Butch Trucks and everybody. So it was great. Warren Haynes. It was really fantastic. So we continued with the Allman Brothers through the next 2 decades. So there's the Allman Brothers at the Beacon. There's our light show. We're doing Dreams. And we also did Tour with the Dead in 2003. But also there's the 2 records. First Set on the left, and Second Set, I helped with the photo shoot on this album cover. Those were 2 records that came out during the 90s. And this is in 2000, a picture of Greg and Dickie with Devin and Dwayne and Barry, which later on became the Allman Betts Band. And so I'd throw that in there. It was pretty cool. It was in a Rolling Stone magazine shot. So let's get on to this next page of posters. So basically, we mainly toured the United States, back and forth. But we did, every March, we would end up doing the Beacon Theater. And these are a bunch of Beacon Theater-related posters and DVDs that we released. So there's the 2002 run. And there's the album cover from Where It All Begins. There's Derek playing in front of a projection I did of the Allman Brothers case from Fillmore East, equipment case from the album cover. Took a photo of it and then blew it up. And then we did in 2003, we did Live at the Beacon, DVD. I think it's a double DVD. And then there's the 30-year poster. And then we did in 2009, we did the 40-year anniversary. That's a great DVD if you want to see a light show. It's really my favorite. And then here is the last Beacon run in March we did of 2014. So we ended up doing like over 1,100 shows with the Allman Brothers over the years. It was a really unbelievable run. So here's a picture of Allman Brothers playing with a Blue Plate Special and the Mushroom that we animated, and we're using a video wall there. And then here's the last set we did with the Allman Brothers on the right, the last show in October 2014. And on this plaque that they put in on the Beacon, you can see that there's 227 sold out shows. Pete and I did 224 of those shows. It was a pretty amazing run that we were able to do that many shows in New York. So it's Allman Brothers Band from 1990 to 2014. The Brotherhood of Light toured with them pretty much every show they did, except for a few here and there. So it was pretty incredible run, and great working with these guys. Really appreciate everybody involved. So here is Pete and I, a much older version of us, 25 years later. We're doing the Allman Brothers at the Beacon, and it's a second generation Brotherhood of Light, 1988 to 2023. And there I am, and there's Pete doing his liquid on the presenter background. He's got a V4. I've got 2 V4s. I've got a Cord Captivator, an MX50, and I also have a Mac computer with a new VJ or Grand VJ program on it. And that's what I was running back then in 2014. And after, well, we'll get to the next slide. So also, we toured with the Dead for 3 years, and we toured with the Doors of the 21st Century, which was Ian Asbury was sitting in for Jim Morrison, and Robbie Krieger, the original guitar player, and Ray Manzarek, the keyboard player. And we did, they never toured on L.A. Woman, so we did a bunch of L.A. Woman shows where we actually played the whole album. And they released a DVD. There it is, L.A. Woman, Doors, and the 21st Century. And there we are with the 3 projection up middle. That is us in Austria. And there's Robbie on the right, and then there's Ray playing Riders on the Storm mixed with clouds and his keyboard. You kind of see it on the screen. And that's at the Kodak Theater on New Year's, where they do the Academy Awards. And here's the set list from that show. You can check that out. It's got some great songs, all the classics, plus the full L.A. Woman. It would kind of be like we do a greatest hits set, and then do kind of a little break, and then we'd do L.A. Woman, and then we'd end the show with like Light My Fire or Soul Kitchen. So with the New Year's countdown, it was pretty cool. So originally we were doing analog, which was live liquids through overhead projectors and slide projectors that were mounted up in the trusses with a complete massive show built with controllers that came down and cabling, and I could run by hand. But here, the rig on the right here, this is for you gearheads, was our 2005 rig. And there's Pete's Liquid with the presenter, and there's the MX50, and there's the rack that I had all the monitors and DVDs in that I'd mixed the show, and there's also a computer back behind there that I mixed with a new VJ program. Then on the right here was the when we got the 2 V4s, we had 2 core captivators. I had the Grand VJ program and the MX50, and then with Pete he had an MX50 and a presenter with the liquids that he would mix and change colors digitally. And now on the bottom here is a rig that I used for the Gregg Allman tour and the Allman Betts tour, where I have a Edirol V800, which does that split screen, and I had 3 computers with the Akai mixers that would work along with the Grand VJ program I was using. So, and then up top is my fly rig. Has 4 computers, a monitor, a mini Edirol Roland mixer, and a couple AK-30 Akai mixers that hook up to the computers. And I could bring that in a suitcase and just plug into the video wall like we did in Denver here. So that's for you gearheads. So here we go. We got the Gregg Allman tour, and that is in 2015, and the song is I'm No Angel. And you got the Gregg Allman tour in 2016, and there is the pay homage to his brother and Gregg himself from old pictures from 69. And it was always like great to have the shots of Dwayne and Gregg up there together. People love that. Here's a Halloween show I did in 2022 with Gov't Mule and one of the guys from Blackberry Smoke. Anyway, they did the Fillmore East album, and I did a light show in Atlanta. Pretty cool. Interesting shot. Now we're going to go to the Allman Betts Band. So here's the Allman Betts Band doing liquid light projection. And I think we did this at Graceland Soundstage. There's another shot of liquids we did with the Liquid Look with the Allman Betts Band. And they were really great. Here's a variety of stuff with we did the Summer of Love show in Golden Gate Park, and I did some at the Fillmore. We also did, there's Allman Betts on the left here, and here's the Allman Brothers on the right at the Beacon, and there's the Allman Betts up there in Carolina. So just wanted to make sure that you saw a variety of stuff that I've been doing in 2018. Here's another really cool show we did. It was a blues festival in Las Vegas in 2022 with, or maybe it was 2021, with the Allman Betts Band, and we were in, this is the Elvis Theater, Elvis Room, which has been taken over by Barry Manilow, but that's a huge projection screen, and we did a light show with them, and they were headlining this blues festival. It was really cool. Flew into Vegas, did that show. So they're really working their way up as a collective group. So here's Devin Allman doing a Gregg Allman song, Multicolored Lady, on acoustic guitar. And here is the Allman Betts Band doing one of their psychedelic songs. And the Allman Betts Band I did from 2018 to 2022. So they had a good little run. And now Devin is doing solo Devin Allman project, and Dwayne Betts has got his own band, is out touring with a new record, so they decided to go solo. But they'll be back, I'm sure of it. That was a great run, though. And here's a shot of the Allman Betts Band with the doing the family revival in Denver at the Mission Ballroom, and that's on their giant video wall, and that's mixed with my fly rig, so you can see I can get pretty psychedelic with those computers. And it's great technology these days. You just fly in, do a gig. So on the right is Derek Trucks, and he is playing at Lock-In Festival. It was one of the last shows we did with the Allman Brothers. And then we did the Beacon Run, and there was like 35,000 people there, and there's Pete and I right before we're going to do the show. It's just getting dark, and we've got our farmer shirts on. One of our roadie buddies had passed away that year, Farmer, so everybody was wearing these farmer shirts that were given out. And the shot on the left is Robert Pullum. Him and I are preparing digital video, shooting liquid lights for these tours that you've seen. And so I'm still working with one of the original guys from the Brotherhood of Light in Hawaii over here. So it's really great. There's Bob. He's still happening. And he's got all the killer plates and all the old slides from the Brotherhood. So it's really fantastic. And so I'm going to end it with a couple more slides and just let them roll out a picture of Allman Betts and the Brotherhood and then the liquid lights. So I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed the show and understand a little bit more about the Brotherhood of Light.